Hello, boys and girls. Got another installment, another video for you fine folks on the internet today. Another installment in the Matthew Buckley Talks music series. Today, we'll be looking at another exotic island album, Hawaiian Magic by Ken Griffin, released in 1957 on Columbia Records, reissued in 1960 on Epic Records as a Japanese import, and in 1962 as a Columbia Records US reissue, and then as a UK import in 1976 on Embassy Records, and finally issued on CD in 2005 on Sony Records as a Japanese import. But stepping back from the album itself, Ken Griffin, the man playing the organ, was born December 28th in 1909 in Columbia, Missouri. And he was an organist best known for recording several easy-listening instrumental albums, a handful of Christmas albums, and a heaping helping of albums styled in Latin, gospel, or, in this case, Hawaiian. He apparently started playing violin in his childhood, according to the liner notes on the back of this, but switched to organ in his teenage years. In his adulthood, he actually starred in a syndicated TV show in the mid-50s called 67 Melody Lane, featuring guests and musical performances. But Griffin suffered a heart attack on March 11th, 1956, in Chicago, Illinois, at the age of 46. And in the wake of his passing, dozens of posthumous albums were issued from hours of unreleased recordings, among them this collection. So, jumping right into it, side one starts off with Island Magic, which almost sounds more carnival-esque than Hawaiian. It definitely invokes the imagery of an amusement park or a county fair. Sounds of feel-good nostalgia. The next track, Song of the Islands, sounds much more tropical island paradise, beginning with the sound of bending steel guitar before drifting into carefree, lazy noodling from both the organ and a little bit more of the steel guitar. It's a very laid-back vibe. King's Serenade, the next track, is another lilting, lazy tune, drifting along with a cool, warbling sort of organ solo. Very nice solo. That's definitely the highlight of the song. The next track, A Song of Old Hawaii, has a heaping helping of steel guitar atop the organ, which gives the tune a distinct flavor from the rest. Still laid back, but it doesn't feel quite as lazy as I have described some of the others. Drifting and Dreaming is an old 1920s classic American song covered by many artists, including Bing Crosby, who also did Sweet Leilani in Waikiki Wedding, which Sweet Leilani is on side 2 of this album. I like the spirit of the song a lot. It really feels like, a classic, show tune from a Broadway musical, but, significantly sedated in this reading. Good stuff. The next track, Now Is the Hour, is another slow-moving waltz with very cool organ sounds in the middle. Real nice, relaxing song. And side 1. Side 2 opens with Harbor Lights, a popular song written in the late 1930s in the Hawaiian style. recorded by dozens of artists, from Guy Lombardo to, again, Bing Crosby to Elvis, Laverne Baker, Willie Nelson, Jerry Lee Lewis. The song is well traveled. And this reading is mid-tempo with just a touch of bounce. The next song, Golden Sands and Silvery Seas, slows things down again. Another sweet waltz, real romantic sounding. And then comes Sweet Leilani. As I said, another 1930s film song that became a standard of Hawaiian music. I discussed, actually, in my last album review, there was a rendition of Sweet Leilani. And this version is very much a waltz that dishes out a healthy portion of steel guitar. Next is Blue Hawaii, the Elvis song. And this is a serviceable interpretation, but there isn't too much remarkable about it until the steel guitar solo. Totally dreamy playing that carries the song to a very sweet ending. Definitely the solo takes the song, the cover up a notch. In Red Sails in the Sunset, the next song, steel guitar accompanies the organ throughout almost all of the track, punctuating and accenting beautifully. The steel solo is quite emotive as well. And the organ takes the final spotlight before the song closes out. All things considered, is probably my favorite track on the album. And the last track, Aloha Oe, is the native Hawaiian song written in the late 1800s by then Princess Lili Uokalani, if I'm even remotely pronouncing that right, who would go on to be queen. But that's Hawaiian history, and you can look that up if you're curious about that. This interpretation of the song feels very proud, optimistic, like a proud and optimistic farewell, hopeful for the future. It's a very logical conclusion to the album, to end with, farewell to thee, end side 2. So, final thoughts. It's a very relaxing, laid-back, carefree, lazy day album. Nothing that's gonna change your life, but a perfect soundtrack for an early morning or late night when you're making food or cleaning house or reading a book or whatever your downtime entails. Like I said before with the last album review I did a few days ago, these easy listening Exotica albums are not exactly for everyone, but I'll admit there's certainly a guilty pleasure of mine, something of a guilty pleasure. Stuff like Martin Denny's Exotica albums and jazzy instrumental albums themed in the vein of bossa nova or Pacific Island music in this case. So, again, I'll bring the record out and show the label here. It's just on the old Columbia 2i label. Non-breakable. Always gives me a chuckle. Yeah, very, very clean record. Probably didn't get too much play before I got my hands on it over the last, 50 plus years. I should 60 years now almost. But yeah, this is again not album of the year 1960 or 57. Not album of the year by any measure, but definitely, some solid listening for, a weirdo like me who loves to just have something on, something beautiful in the background while he kicks back. So I would probably hesitate to rate this too high because, again, it's just, pleasant wallpaper music almost. But and since it's pretty much just organ and steel guitar, it's not like there's too much going on in ways of the arrangements. But I think I could give this a solid heavy 5 out of 10. Again, it's got a pretty lady on the cover. You can't, it's not like you get to see her legs or anything, but, it helps a little bit. A lot of these Exotica albums have that going for them. Nice cover art. But, yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think. I would, again, be surprised if too many of you had or were familiar with this album. It's easy enough to find on YouTube. I was actually pleasantly surprised. So it's not too hard to give it a sample listen. But yeah, let me know down below. Have you heard it? What you might think of it if you have, or what you think of Hawaiian music, or these kind of exploitative Exotica albums. Anything like that. Or Ken Griffin, if you're familiar with his work, because he, even though he was, from the 40s and 50s, he put out a crapload of material. It's really something. So yeah, let's get a discussion flowing in the comments. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all of the viewership that I get. So like, subscribe. Let's get that YouTube stuff going. Thanks. Once again, this has been Matthew Buckley Talks Music with Hawaiian Magic by Ken Griffin. Music is the best.